Hi, my name is Emily and welcome to Sweet Greek Patterns. In today's video, I wanted to share a little bit of a different style video because I feel like it'll be really helpful, especially as it is currently wintertime here in Minnesota, as I know it is for most of the United States. So I wanted to share how I sew fleece into the inside of my hats. So when I made this hat several years ago, I used Wool Ease Thick and Quick, and with any yarn, it can feel a little bit scratchy on the inside whenever you put your hat on. And so I, especially with living in Minnesota where it's always super cold in the winter time, I found that I was feeling, even though I use really thick and chunky wool yarn, I could still feel some cold air and it was a little bit itchy. So what I did is we put fleece on the inside of our hat and we sewed it on. So let me show you how this turns out. So you can see on the inside of this hat we put this gray fleece, and so we sew it along the base by using like a zigzag stitch, and you don't even notice. This one I feel like is a little more obvious than on this hat, but they're still super not obvious. And then up here at the top where we ended our fleece, we just sewed a straight stitch right into where the ridge comes in on this hat. So this hat pattern is by CJ Designs, and she has a free YouTube tutorial and I believe a free blog post. So I'll put a link in the description box down below so you guys can make this hat if you want. But either way, this is a really great way to make your hat warm and cozy and not so itchy. So that is what we're going to do in this tutorial. So we're going to begin by making a little pattern for ourselves, and then we are going to go ahead and cut out the fleece, and then you can either hand sew the fleece into your hat, and that might even make it a little bit less obvious, or you can grab a sewing machine and sew the fleece into your hat, depending on whether you have a sewing machine or prefer to just hand sew it. Either way will work. So what we're going to start by doing is we're going to we normally in our family take a paper bag and cut the pattern out. So what we're going to do is, for my hat size, I believe this is just kind of a standard adult size, you're going to need a pattern that is approximately 6 inches wide. And then this way, it starts at 9 inches. Yeah, it starts at 9 inches. You can see it. It starts at 9 inches right here at the top, and then goes to about 9 3/4 inches here at the bottom. And that's the only reason for that is just so on the inside of the hat, you don't have extra bulk because your hat gets smaller as it goes up. So we're gonna go ahead and find either paper or whatever you want that's 6 inches wide by starting here 9 and then 9 3/4 vertical. So 6 inches wide, 9 and then 9 3/4 inches high. So we're going to find a piece of that, and then you're just going to go ahead and cut it out of whatever material you want. I'm going to cut it out of this paper bag right here. And so then you can see here we have this little pattern. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put it onto our fleece. And so for this tutorial, I'm going to be putting fleece on the inside of this hat right here. So we are going to use this dark charcoal fleece. Now if you're doing, depending on what color you're doing, if you're doing a light gray, you can always get light gray fleece, and then for this more dark heathered black, I'm going to use this dark colored fleece because that will work well. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to find the fold of your fabric, and we are going to lay it like this. Okay, this is Editing Emily wanting to tell you to, when you're using your fleece, make sure you have the horizontal way, so the 9 3/4 inch way, as the stretchy fleece way. If you don't have it stretchy, then your hat's not going to be stretchy in the end. If you have because then it'll just be stretchy up, which is fine, but you want it to be stretchy horizontally because as it goes onto your head, it expands. So make sure to do that. And so yeah. So what you're gonna do, take your fabric and you're gonna fold it in half. That's what the fold means. So when we have it fold, we have it a folded side. So one that 2 layers come together, and then one with the 2 layers right here, and then one where it's folded together. So you can see that is what it should look like. We're going to lay this down on my work surface. I'm going to go ahead and bring my camera from above so that you guys can see this a little bit better. Okay, so we are going to begin this by making our little template, and what we're going to do is the template's going to be 6 inches, 6 inches wide by, you can see it taper. So one side is going to be 100% straight, and then one side is going to taper in. Now, we are going to start at the base of the tapering. It's going to be 9 3/4. Now, at the very tip, when we go to the top, it's going to be almost exactly 9 inches. So, you're going to go straight for about like 3 inches. And then you're going to go ahead and start your curve. Now, I would say 3 to 4 inches. If I go, 3 to 4 inches of straight, and then go ahead and start your curve. And you can see that it curves pretty quick once you start. So you keep it straight, 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 and then curve. So I would say even up to, I'm using the wrong side, there we go. Yeah, I would say about 3 to 4 inches, and then start your curve. Now we are going to go ahead and grab the paper bag. All right, so you can see that I have my paper bag here, and what we are going to do is we are going to, you can use whatever you want. You can use this paper bag, you could use some cardstock, you could use even a piece of paper. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and measure 6 inches over. So from here to 6 inches, and I'm just going to make a straight line up. And then we're going to work down here, 6 inches over, from here to 6 inches. It doesn't have to be exactly precise, just about 6 inches. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to find our vertical height. So we're going to start on this side with 9 3/4 inches. And we're going to go right here. So 9 3/4 inches would be right here. Right there. Wait, right here. So I'm going to move over enough that I can mark that easily. Okay, and then we are going to go ahead, I'm just going to mark this as my start, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to work down to 9 inches. So I'm going to put right over here. I'm going to flip this around so I can mark it more easily. I'm going to make this line right here across straight first. So I'm just going to go like this. And we are going to measure 6 inches. I forgot. There we go. So we need 6 inches all the way over. And this is going to be the straight side, as you can see. And then on this top side, we are going to have it curved down from 9 3/4 down to 9 inches. So I'm going to measure now from where we just put this line across the bottom. So we have a line here and a good part of a line here. Now we're going to make the top line. So we are going to put this at the base, go up to 9 inches like this, and I'm just going to mark my 9 inches, and then we are going to start from here. You can see it's a pretty nice angle, so we're going to go ahead and kind of just mark how it goes roughly, and then we'll go like this. Okay, you can see that that is not a super straight line, but I'm just doing what I can. And when I cut it out, I'll make it more straight and nice. So I'm going to just grab some scissors and we're going to go ahead and cut. So let me start on this side where it's nice and straight for me to cut. And I'm just going to go ahead and make my cut. I'm going to turn and I'm going to work this way, nice and straight again. Okay, now I also side my bag because I just clipped off the rest. And now we're going to make this nice angled line. So I'm going to go ahead and start on this side. You can see that's where we work up. So we're going to start here. I'm going to work to make it look nicer than my line did. Okay, so you can see that is about how it should look. Now I might have left a little bit extra, so I'm just going to measure it real quick to see if it's 9 3/4. And you can see that I have almost exactly 10, so I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller. In fact, I'm just going to put my little pencil right here where it says 9 3/4. Okay, then I'm just going to go ahead and once we've gotten to our max, we're just going to go ahead and cut that part that is not necessary off. There we go. So you can see this is how it should look once completed. And now we're going to go ahead and grab our fleece. So our fleece, you're going to want to grab, you're going to want to have the two edges together right here. And then this is what we call a fold in sewing. And we are going to want to have the fold on this straight side. So I'm going to write fold. And normally you also would in sewing have like this little line that goes like that. That indicates that's the fold. So we are going to go ahead. We have our two layers folded together. And we have this nice fold and then the edges. We can go ahead and lay this nice and flat and make sure it's all lined up properly. Okay, now we are going to go ahead and grab this template. We're going to put the straight edge up to the fold. So you can see there's the fold. We're going to put that straight edge up to that. And we're going to then go ahead and start cutting. So I'm going to have this be my top. So I'm not going to cut that off. I'm just going to leave that like it is. And I'm going to go ahead and start cutting from this side. Now I am left-handed, so it might look kind of funny for me to cut because you might not be used to left-handed, but we're just going to go ahead and cut up. So I'm going to use my nice fabric scissors now. And we're just going, I'm going to leave myself a little extra room just as in case. We're just going to go ahead and cut up. And remember that we should have this folded. And we're just cutting a straight line. There you go. So now we're going to set this fleece aside, the rest of the fleece, and here we go. Now, with your little cutout here, we're just going to cut this curved edge. So I'm going to go ahead and bring it over like this. Get my scissors under it. Okay, so there we go. You can see if I line it up, this is exactly how it should look. You should have a nice cutout template. And it's not going to be exactly precise, it's on the inside of your hat, that's okay. So now we have this completed. You're going to go ahead and sew up this side so that it's a circle. And then we are going to go ahead and sew the bottom to the hat and the top to the hat. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my sewing machine and we will do this together. Alright, so you can see that I have the presser foot down here, and I have the fleece along the edge of my presser foot. Then we have the width of the stitch stitch that's going to make at 5, and then we have it as a straight stitch. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start, and we're going to do a little back stitch, and then we're going to go ahead and keep going forward. Keep it lined up. There you go. Now we're going to a little bit, and then there we go. And lift up my presser foot and go ahead and cut your thread. So now we can see that we have this nice little seam, and we can now turn this inside out so that when we attach it to the hat, no one will ever know that it's sewed together. Okay, so now we're going to grab our hat and our piece that we just created, and we're going to have this inside. Okay, so we're going to have the outside of this for now be this side that you can see the seam on, and we're going to insert it into the inside of this hat. And the reason that we kept the seam on the outside is that because then when we're done in the end, when you open it up like this, you'll not see the seam. So we're going to lay it in there nicely along the bottom. We're also going to, when you're doing this, put the seam of this flannel along the seam of the back of the hat. And that's not crucial, but if you want to keep it as perfect as possible, I'd recommend doing that. Now we have it like this. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start sewing the base and sewing the top. Now with the base, we are going to start, and we're going to be using a totally different stitch, a stitch that will hide a lot better along this ridge, along these ridges. And then on the top, we'll just use a straight stitch. So we're going to grab, I'm going to grab a couple of pins just to keep it nice and straight while we are sewing. You can see this is how it should look. Keep the edge of the flannel along the base. Okay, and a tip for, because right now it's extra bunchy, what we're going to do is we're going to have the bobby pin, or not the bobby pin, the straight pin. We're going to have it, we have the seam along with the back seam. Then we're going to pinch the, without stretching this, we're going to pinch it along there. You can see that's the other side. Then we're going to find the other side of this hat, make it nice and straight, and pinch there. And we're going to go ahead and then lay that into that right there. Now I'm going to grab another pin, and this is not the easiest camera angle I've ever done, but we are working with it. So you're going to go through both layers like that. So now we are going to, now that we have this side and this side, we're going to go ahead and find the other two sides. So we're going to lay it nice and flat. And right now it is bunchy, but do not worry about that. We're going to find the edge of this side like that, and find the edge of the hat. And we're just going to put two more pins total. And then as we're sewing, the hat will, the fleece will even out, so it won't be bunchy in the end. So we're going to find this on the other side like this, put it down into here like this, and there we go. So now we have it all pinned. So we have the 4 pins, and we're going to go ahead and sew. So now with the sewing settings, what we're going to do, let me bring this back over again. So you can see right here is number 4 stitch on my Brother sewing machine. And if I zoom in, you might be able to see it better. But it's kind of where it's straight and then does a Z, kind of, and then a straight and then a zigzag. And so that is what the stitch I'm going to be using, not just the traditional zigzag, which is number 3, but number 4. Now you're going to have to find on your sewing machine what stitch you like the best, but for the bottom, I like stitch number 4, so I have it turned to that, and we're keeping with the same 5-inch stitch length. So now I'm going to go ahead and move this camera back down. and we are going to go ahead and start sewing. So we have this right here on the back. We're going to start right here where the seam is, and we can go ahead and put it under our presser foot. And now this is pretty thick, so if you are struggling at all to get this under, I can see I will struggle. Okay, my mom's the expert sewer, so I'm going to have her do the hat part. So as you put your hat into the sewing machine, I'm just going to go in front of the pin a little bit so that the pin holds it. I'm going to lift up my presser foot just a, oh, gotta lift up my needle first. Lift up my presser foot just a little bit so I can slide that thick hat underneath of it. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and put my needle down into that. And what I have now is I have my needle right to the right here, in between what I have as my flannel and my hat. It's going right here on the edge. And then I have the edge of the hat lined up with the edge of the presser foot, okay? So basically, I'm going to be going straight along here, not really catching the flannel, but only going into the hat. And then because of the stitch I have, it's going to zigzag over every little like eighth of an inch or something. So it's going to go straight, zigzag in, back, straight, zig. And I like that stitch. You can totally go with a straight stitch if you prefer, but this one is just one that I found works well for hats. So here I go, I'm gonna go straight. See how it goes over, over. I'm just going straight over. And you may worry, well, will that hold it well? It really does, because the fleece. The fleece really holds well to the yarn, so there's not a lot of movement, you know, when you put it on and things. So here you go, you just keep going. You just go all the way around. Okay, so I'm coming to the end. I'm almost back to where I started. I was going to tell you that because of the thickness, it might not feed through. Your feeders on the bottom might not feed it through well. So I do use my other hand and sometimes pull it from the back side, push it from the front, and pull it from the back, so that it goes through somewhat of an even pace. And then you get some really big bulky here. And there we are, back to the beginning. And you can release your presser foot, take it off, and cut it, and you're done with that part. All right, so you can see this is how it should look like now that we are done. And on the front, it looks really, really nice still. So now what we're gonna do is we're going to go ahead and do this top part. And you're going to find, normally I find that, here you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. This is on about the 5th row up, but whatever row is kind of that kind of goes into the hat, that would be the row that you would want to do the sewing on. So I'm going to just do my pins around again like we did last time. Find the other side, work straight up, count 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 rows up, and don't poke yourself like I just did. And there we go. So now we are just going to go ahead and start sewing it around. I'm going to do one more pin, and then we're just going to call it good. And make sure that's nice, and there we go. I'm going to grab my pin, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 rows up. And there we go. So now we're going to go ahead and start again where our seam is at, and I have my first bobby pin. So now we are going to, I have the part on my sewing machine where you can take off this part right here, and so you can actually put your whole hat around. If you don't, it'll be a lot harder. You can always hand stitch it if you would like. So we're going to go ahead and put this whole hat in, which will be, oh, I have my needle too low. No, I don't. Never mind. So you're going to go ahead and switch it over to the straight stitch, which I just did. Now we have it that 5 rows up, and it's not the easiest to get done, but you can do it. So I'm going to push down my foot, my pedal, and we are going to go ahead and start sewing. We have the straight stitch going and we have it all lined up. We're gonna have to take lots of breaks while we're doing this because doing this is not the easiest thing ever. And, nope, put it under my foot. And we're just going to continue around. Yep. You can always pull if you need. I personally don't need to do that so far, but yeah. Thank you so much for making this inside fleece lining of the hat with me. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please make sure to give this video a like and don't forget to subscribe. That really helps out my YouTube channel. And don't forget to comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. And I'd love to hear about if you did this fleece for a hat or if you've done this before. I also wanted to mention that I do post weekly crochet tutorials typically, so this is not a typical video, but I hope you enjoy this different video. And so yeah, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!